Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Hello, friends, and welcome to a tradition like any other. That would be Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a good show lined up for you today. It's Tuesday. That means good old Buddy Martin will be joining us from the Buddy Martin Show. Second portion of the show from Florida First and 10. We're going to talk a little Gator football recruiting with Jason Higdon. But first, let's get to the Titan MR hotline. And we're joined by good old Buddy Martin. Good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning, Shane. I'm still recovering from last night. I'm sure you are too. And not what we expected, but that's sports. That's why we watch. You never know what you're going to see, like Friday nights. And then, of course, who knew last night that Gonzaga would be out-muscled and really become the hunted instead of the hunter? I mean, that Baylor team, they just absolutely floored me the way how aggressive they were. They won the game in the first 10, 12 minutes of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe the first 3 minutes. I mean, they went on a 9-0 spurt there. Sure. Give Baylor a lot of credit. We knew they were very good. Their guard play was outstanding. They shot lights out. At one time, buddy, there was a 27-point differential from the three-point line in the game. But, yeah, Baylor gives Scott Drew. I mean, you think about what he's done. He's been there 18 years, I think. He took over a program, and I totally forgot about this. Remember, they had the program where the coach, and I don't remember who it was,
Dave Bliss,
tried to cover up because one of the players murdered one of the players on the basketball team.
That's correct.
And it was a mess. So
drug dealer and all that stuff. And Scott, and by the way, I saw an old clip, and Scott Drew said when he was hired long ago, we want to win a national championship someday. People laughed at him. Well, guess what? He did. Yeah.
It's funny that you'll get a kick out of this, buddy. You know Dan Hicken out of Jacksonville?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I saw a tweet on Twitter. He said, Gator hoop fans are ready to fire Mark Few.
Yeah, that was kind of a theme last night. And, sometimes it's a good lesson for people to understand you better hang on to what you got, and it will pay dividends because longevity means something, and you can't build a program every 3 years. So maybe there's lessons someplace.
And honestly, he's had some good teams there. Mm-hmm. He's built pretty much his entire program off transfers from other schools. It's a way, you can do that. He did it way before the transfer portal, and I think that's what most people are going to do. We got a text on the Titan MR text line. It says, well, Shane, back in 2003, Scott Drew took over an awful Baylor program that had hit rock bottom after covering up a murder and now stopped the college basketball world after murdering Gonzaga. Man, Baylor might have beaten the woeful Houston Rockets last night, 60% from three, very few turnovers. And lights out defense was a deadly combo that the Zags had no answer for. Yeah, it was a perfect storm. And take nothing away from what Baylor did. I will say this. I do think Gonzaga looked tired, buddy. I think Grant Hill and those guys mentioned it from the previous overtime game. But Baylor was clearly the better team. And, it's what's crazy too, buddy, is I don't know – from a draft standpoint, where Jared Butler and Davion Mitchell, those guys are supposed to go in the NBA draft. Because remember, they could all come back if they wanted.
That's correct.
Now, I don't think that'll happen. I think Davion Mitchell and Jared Butler go pro. But like Maceo Teague, who I think was the leading scorer for Butler, or either he or not Butler, but either Butler or Maceo Teague. Maceo Teague transferred from UNC Asheville.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to believe a guy of his caliber had to go play at UNC Asheville out of high school. And that's why it's why I try to tell Gator fans, we just got a guy from Missouri, Kansas City, a guy from Boston College. I think we have a guy coming in from Presbyterian that's a really good player. So it doesn't matter where they're coming from. these dudes can play, and that's why I think Florida will be a better basketball team next year.
Well, that's good hope for the Gator fans. I think the thing we've got to remember is Gonzaga may be back. This projects they may only lose 2 guys. And by the way, they got guys can come back in another year too. And you know, I know you admired Gonzaga, and rightly so. They were so much fun to watch. But you know what? Last night, what Baylor did, they took away their passing lanes. They couldn't make those crisp passes. They didn't get those sharp cuts. I mean, they just manhandled them and then knocked down everything they threw up at 3 points. It was an amazing performance, and boy, Sky Drew deserves a lot of credit.
Yep. Yeah. Baylor played tremendous defense. We knew they played great defense. I thought Gonzaga was very sloppy with the basketball. Mm-hmm. Tons of just turnovers, dribbling, you know, with no defender in the way, just dribbling it out of bounds. Nembhard had a couple of those.
He did.
I felt like Jalen Suggs was trying to do too much early in the game. But again, congratulations to the Baylor Bears, your national champs. I think the only other sport at Baylor, I think, that's won a national title, I think the women have won few years ago in basketball.
They almost won this year. You know, they had a heck of a, against Stanford. Yeah, that was a call at the end of the game that went the other way. Baylor, could have had two teams in the championship game, but yeah, I mean, I don't know a lot about the Big 12 basketball program. It seems funny that we're talking about how great they are. And boy, the SEC looks around the country and said, wait, Gonzaga and Baylor? Are you kidding me? Nobody from the SEC was on that Final Four. Anyway, it's opportunity. I was thinking last night about what SEC teams, you think, is Alabama going to be real again? How about LSU's program? They're going to go upside down. Tennessee could be really good. How good could Florida or Georgia be? I don't know. But the SEC had a good year, not a great year. They got to get some teams in the Final Four.
But I think last night's game goes to show you, buddy, if you are a great three-point shooting team, which Baylor would lead the country in three-point shooting,
right?
And you actually, because a lot of times when those teams like an Alabama who jacks up a ton of them, they go through a couple games where they don't shoot very well. Well, if you can really win a basketball game and distance yourself in a very quick time period if you knock down those threes, and that's what they did early in the game. And like I told you, I think it was like with about 14 minutes to go in the second half, I looked at my phone, I looked up the stats. Baylor had made 9 more threes than Gonzaga. And they were only down like 12 at the time. That's a 27-point differential. But, so the three-point line has changed college basketball.
Well, Billy Donovan told us that. I mean, that's what he did. They made a ton of threes. That's when they won those championships. And Bettino and Billy and whatever. And you're right. Those threes, when you're making them like that, it's just impossible to defend.
Yep. Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. April is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with Buddy Martin, right now on the Titan More hotline, we're going to be joined in a minute. Second portion of the show, Jason Higdon, Florida First at 10, talking
good man,
Gator recruiting. Buddy, so I don't like to. I'm not into politics at all. I could care less what this guy believes. You know why? Because there's not a damn thing you can do about it. All you can do is go vote and live with it. But I got to get your thoughts on the commissioner for Major League Baseball. Okay, the All-Star game is supposed to be in Atlanta, Georgia, where the Braves play. I think it's SunTrust Field or something like that. They've canceled it. They're planning to move it. I don't even think they have a destination yet. But what I'm asking you, buddy, is Rob Manfred is the commissioner of the baseball, Major League Baseball. Okay, but he's also a member of Augusta National. Okay, so he's moving an event that was going to create a lot of dollars for that area out of Atlanta for whatever reason. But I don't understand how he can do that. And the Braves are still playing 80-something games in that stadium. And he's also a member at Augusta National. Can you help me out?
I keep hearing the Augusta National thing, and I went through all of that years and years ago. And I understand the political correctness issue today. And I'm not going to choose a side here. But let me just say that it's not new. That when there is something that looks like, feels like, smells like discriminatory practices, whether it is or not, I'll let you decide, then people got to step in at a national level. I mean, look, even what happened to Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. He picked a guy that had a background that was questionable about his race relations, and they wouldn't let him hire him. Everywhere you go, whether you like it or not, when you're dealing with something like that, and you got players' associations, you have to respect the fact that they say, I can't bring an all African American team to play in this environment. Now, here's the bad part about it. It's not Atlanta. Atlanta's a very progressive city. Atlanta has, been exemplary what they've done. And yet, in fact, it's really kind of the birth of civil rights there with Martin Luther King and what have you. But the unfortunate part about it is all suffered because of a few. I don't know that it was a right decision. You might say it was a little bit knee-jerk. Maybe they need to think it through a little bit. But Augusta is Augusta, and Augusta does what it wants to. It doesn't get
I'm not talking about not playing the match. I'm talking about that guy is a member at Augusta National Golf Club. So if he has a problem with stuff going on, sporting events going on in the state of Georgia, wouldn't he remove himself as a member of Augusta National?
Well, that's a different topic.
That's what I'm referring to.
If it's a conflict of interest, is what you appear to be saying. I don't think it's apples to apples. I mean, look, you could say that, but it wasn't just him. It wasn't just him. It was it's everybody in baseball.
Okay. Having said that, and on Facebook Live here, we had some people tell us here, brought to you by Mellon Law, the All-Star Game is going to be at Coors Field in Denver. But okay, so regardless if it was the Players Association, whatever, why are the Atlanta Braves still playing home games there if it's that big of a deal?
Well, you can't cancel the whole season.
Why can't you? Why can't you say, okay, we're going to move you and go play you at another state?
But look, this is an event, Shane. This is not a season. This is a special event. There's certain things. I mean, you bring up next the SEC championship game. I don't know. There's events. That's what they're politicized. This is what it happens.
That's why I hate politics. It does not need to be involved in sporting.
But you can't avoid it. You can't avoid it. I mean, I don't look. Any Gator, any fan of sports hates to be told by a politician or whatever they can't have their games. Of course, that's not going to resonate well. And I get it. And I don't like it either. Look, in 1980, they pulled out of the Olympics in Russia. I had a whole bunch of people primed the New York Daily News ready to go to Russia to cover the event. There was no event in Russia. It's been happening for a long time. You can't separate them. I wish you could just let them play, but you can't because there's too much money and there is a matter of race and, and you're not going to avoid it. And do I like it? No. Do I wish it was different? Yes. Do I have an answer? No. But I don't think Augusta is Augusta. Augusta does their own thing. They don't have to, they can put on an event without the networks if they had to.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. I'm just saying, and I understand as the commissioner of baseball, he's not making this decision on his own, but you would think, I don't know, buddy. I just have a hard problem with him making this decision. And I could care less about the damn All-Star game, quite honestly. Mm-hmm. But I have a hard time understanding how this guy can say they're canceling it for whatever reasons there are out there, but I can still go ahead and be a member at one of the most prestigious places in the world, at Augusta National Golf Club, and keep my membership there.
I don't see it that way. I think it's apples and apples and oranges and oranges. And so I get what you're going with. I mean, you can talk about that, but I think it's in the event. It's the unscheduled, not an annual deal. It's not a season. It's a single event. They were planning to come back and honor Hank Aaron, which is unfortunate. And I think it's maybe have been a horrible decision. I don't know. But he was pressured.
Yeah, it's a shame. No doubt about it. I want to congratulate the softball team. They take 2 out of 3 against the Georgia Bulldogs, hammered them the last 2 games. So
Eccles, man, 3 home runs in
Charlotte Eccles. Tim told me before the season he thought she might be the best hitting player he's ever had.
Really?
And he's had some great ones. And she's having a tremendous year, no question. Baseball, traveling to Tennessee, which Tennessee is they're ranked like 7th or 8th in the country.
Who isn't in the SEC? Everybody is in the SEC,
Yeah,
they're all right.
Yeah, I know there's a great series this weekend, number 3 and number 2. Arkansas and Ole Miss battle this week as well. Buddy, let's talk briefly about the Masters.
Okay.
I know we talk golf on my show. If people don't like it, tune back in.
Me too.
In a few minutes when we talk recruiting, but it's a great one of the greatest sporting events of all time. I know you've been to Augusta. You've covered a lot of tournaments up there. What is your favorite part of Augusta National?
You got a couple of hours. One of the things that occurred to me, I never understood when I first started going way back before your daddy was born, to Augusta, why they were so excited about it. And it took me about 3 times then to understand the history of the place and why it is what it is. Why so many writers wanted to go cover it. The great Grantland Rice, as a matter of fact, he was the one who advised them when they started the tournament. Have it in the spring. They want to have it in the fall. As Steve Melnick tells us in our show on Wednesday, and I think you got him later in the week, they said, hey, have it in the spring. And then also the writers in baseball were all in Florida back in those days. They would get on a train and they just stop in Augusta and they cover the event. That's what helped make the event. Now, having said that, what are a few of my favorite things? I'm not the typical, I love the peach cobbler, and that's good. The pimento cheese sandwiches they give away, fine, all that. There's certain things about it that are stunning. One of them is when you go in the front. Now, we can't do that. Players can still do it. Steve Melnick can do it. When you drive up Magnolia Lane, as they call it, right off Washington Road, and you see that clubhouse there, even Arnold Palmer used to say he would get chill bumps. It's just amazing feeling to walk up there. It's almost like it's holy ground, when you get in there. And you get there, and then you say, let's go see Amen Corner. For a good part of 30 years, my routine was always leave the press room, walk down early on Sunday to Amen Corner, and watch the leaders come through on Sunday. Because as the great Dan Jenkins once said, the Masters doesn't start till the back 9 on Sunday. And I would go up there and I'd watch them hit their drives down on 11, watch them play 12 and tee off on 13, and scramble back up to the press room and watch the finish. Amen Corner is everything they say it is. It's a great setting. And of course, the many other things, not the least of which is the flora and the fauna and the dogwoods and the zays, all that stuff we've all written about. It's just a special place because why? They play there every year. They don't play at the Open every year, the same place. The PGA, the British, they all change. The Masters is the Masters. And when you go back there, you kind of check yourself and say, all right, what's life like now for me as I return to Augusta again? It is a tremendous feeling to go there. I haven't been in about 7 years. I went to 30-something of them, but I'll be glued to every minute I can this week on the Masters. It's a great event.
Yeah, we got a text on the Titan Mart text line here from Jonathan. Jonathan wants to know, buddy, is there one of the Masters that you covered that stands out in your mind the most?
Easily. 86, Jack Nicklaus wins it. It was quite an event for a couple reasons. First of all, most people wrote him off as being finished. 2 great golf writers who were young pups then, Rick Riley and Jaime Diaz, were sitting across the street having dinner on Wednesday night. We talked about, they said, Nicklaus is finished. He'll never win again. And I said, I take objection to that. I think he'll win and he won a major. They said, you're kidding me, buddy. You got to get it. The guy's 46. He's not going to win a major. Guess what happened that weekend? He won the Masters. Fantastic finish. My all-time favorite Masters, 1986, Jack Nicklaus.
And he is the oldest to win the Masters, right, at age 46?
Yeah.
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 That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, let's get to our This Day in Sports, which is brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. From now until May 31st, get our preventative maintenance plan for $169 and save almost 40% off the normal cost. Also, any maintenance scheduled between now and May 31st will be entered to win a Nest thermostat with installation. So, speaking of the Masters, buddy, did you cover the 1958 Masters?
I did not. My first one was 66.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about the 1958 Masters. Arnold Palmer wins his first green jacket. He won it 4 times. He finished 1 stroke ahead of Doug Ford and Fred Hawkins. That was his first of his 7 majors. Arnie, the king.
Yeah, he made it. He and Dwight Eisenhower played there a lot. And of course, 1960, when Arnie drove the green on number 1 at Cherry Hills in Denver to come back and win the Open at Cherry Hills, that's when golf began to explode on television. And Arnie was one of them. He really is the guy who made it. And then along came a guy named Nicholas.
Yeah, so the Masters, we got a Facebook Live here, and I want to get your thoughts on this too. We're kind of jumping around this morning from John, brought to you by Metal Law. He says, I was happy to see Sam Darnold finally get away from the Jets.
Yeah.
I think he has a good year with Carolina. I think he's going to be phenomenal. I think Sam Darnold is I think he's an outstanding pro quarterback, and I think he's going to get better under Joe Brady in that system that he runs in Carolina. So I think it was a huge pickup for Carolina. Your thoughts on Sam Darnold?
Well, you have a lot more knowledge about the NFL and playing quarterback than I do. By far, I am. I don't get it with Sam Darnold. I mean, he looks like a good college player. He's got a live arm. Everybody raved about him. Show me something. Let me see something here. You know, all I've seen so far is talk. I've seen much better quarterbacks come out. We'll see what happens. Obviously, they like him, and they made a move. Now they're going to have to go after probably quarterback with their second pick, and that would be probably the kids from BYU.
Yeah, buddy, we got a couple. We got a text here on the Titan Mark text line. Wayne says he's watching and enjoying the discussion. Thank you. With the help from the Willie Jackson Leonard Georgia Endowment, they only need $1,000 more to reach 50,000.
Wow, that's great.
Listen,
great. So, how do they get in touch with it? Do you know?
Well, if anybody's interested in donating to this endowment, just call Gator Boosters. That's the best way to do. You can do it through Gator Boosters.
Yeah, well, that's great.
Scott says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law, ask Buddy if he knows anything about the famous double eagle from 1935. The gentleman who hit that shot spent much of his life on Marco Island, Florida.
Well, you tell me about it. I wasn't there in I wasn't even born in 1935.
I don't either.
But there's a lot of famous shots, and Gene Saracen had one of them.
The double eagle. What hole did he make the double eagle?
I don't remember. I think it might have been 15, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100%. You know, back in the day, this is how the game has changed. When Arnold was playing, is that you said, who's going to win the Masters? Which is what you're going to ask me in a minute. Mm-hmm. And the answer was, believe it or not, well, whichever guy can reach the par fives in 2. That's what it was like back then. Some guys couldn't reach those par fives, and now, of course, they hit 9 irons in there. So that's how it's changed. But, yeah, I mean, the golf course is held up, though, man. What a beautiful place to go, and I'm excited about it. And I got your winner, okay, just so you know.
You got it. Well, let's do that right now, buddy, because we're going to be getting to Jason Higdon here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Who does Buddy Martin think's going to put the green jacket on Sunday afternoon?
Well, who do I want or who do I think? I want Bryson DeChambeau.
Well, of course you do.
Of course. Yeah. Well, you do the same thing. You pick the same guys every week. I just think this DeChambeau's time. He's a great student of the game. He knows the history of that place. He might want it a little too much. But, the guy who's got the game right now, Justin Thomas, is really playing great. He'd be hard to deny. And the guy I'm going to pick, I'm going to go ahead and pick Jordan Spieth, although I think he might be not quite ready. He played well last weekend. He started to putt the ball again. He has that great aggressive style. And he's been driving the ball well, which is key. I'm going to make my wife happy. I'm picking Jordan Spieth, and my other 3 are Bryson DeChambeau and Justin Thomas. I know no big surprise, all chalk. As for my long shot, well, I think you picked one of mine already, so I can't pick him. I like to pick him every week. You picked on my show. You picked Tommy Fleetwood. So let's just say. No,
I didn't. I didn't take Tommy Fleetwood.
As a long shot, you named 3 guys, didn't you?
I didn't take Fleetwood.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm taking Fleetwood as my long shot.
No, here's who I picked on your show last night. I got 3 players and a long shot, I guess. I'm taking Xander Schauffele.
Yeah.
Colin Morikawa.
Yeah.
And Patrick Cantlay.
Ken is a good pick. I brought big credit to him. He's playing well.
My long shot is Webb Simpson was my long shot.
Really?
Paul Tesori, the Gator, on his bag.
Okay.
So that's. So
tell me again. You got Schauffele, Cantlay, and who?
Morikawa.
Morikawa. He played well earlier in the year.
I got them all. I got all Americans, buddy. Who do you have again?
I've got DeChambeau, Thomas, and Spieth. And then I've got my long shot. Tommy Fleetwood was the only non-American.
So you have one foreigner, rest Americans.
Well, I mean, you say one. I mean, you call him my long shot, Tommy Fleetwood?
Yeah, Fleetwood's from England.
I know, but I didn't pick him. He's my long shot.
Yeah. Okay.
I got Dustin Johnson, DeChambeau, and Thomas, all Americans. Spieth, DeChambeau, and Thomas are my three. You're confusing me, Shane. You're confusing me, man. All right. So am I beating you? I want to beat you. We got to have something on this. So we have to have a burger how about a burger at Spur's new restaurant?
Sounds good.
Giant Grill. Okay.
That'll be a good wage. Maybe we can get the head ball coach, regardless of who wins. We'll get him to pay for it, right?
Pay for it. That's the way it works. And by the way, how are we going to do aggregate score of the three or what? A winner trumps all. You get the winner that trumps all.
Well, gosh, it's a good question because JC and I have been doing golf picks for about 3 or 4 months now, and we still haven't figured out our format.
Well, let's start one right now. Let's say winner takes all, whatever that may be. Well, if you don't, then aggregate score of the 3 top picks.
Okay, so that's fine. All right, okay. That's fine.
I mean, it's up to you. This is your show.
I'm all for whatever, buddy. We want some excitement.
Yeah, but we're going to have that. We're going to have that. I guarantee you.
Who's Buddy Martin? I know Tuesday's a special night at the Buddy Martin show, but let everybody know who's coming on tonight.
Well, it would be you and me for a brief minute. And then, of course, we've got 2 of the really bright reporters, Jackie Franguli from Channel 20, who does a great job, and, of course, Cassidy Hill, our own chief correspondent, talking ball. And they can talk some ball now. I mean, you some of the people who watch my show know. When they get on, they know their stuff. And they're on the beat, unlike you and me. We're just a couple of slugs reading Twitter. They actually do their own reporting. So it's going to be good. Looking forward to that. I'm excited about tomorrow. I got the HBC on tomorrow night's show along with Steve Mellon. So that'll be fun.
Are they on together?
No. Different.
Because they were.
Oh, I know they're tight.
They were frat boys together at the ATO house.
Yeah, they definitely did that for sure. Yes, I know a few stories. I can't repeat them on the air, but
yeah,
Steve's a good man too. So so I'm excited about that Masters week, and we got a long time between now and football, dude. We got a long time. We got a lot to talk about, but plenty of time to do it. And just one more word I wanted to say to Kyle Trask. I wrote this column last week. Love and respect to a guy who brought something to the program at Florida that should be revered. Next man up. I've proposed this a bunch of times, wrote a column about last week. There ought to be an award called the Kyle Trask Next Man Up Award to the Gator who does that. And I'm working with somebody to see if we can get that together. And I think it's something, look, it's the epitome of everything. If you're a coach that you believe in, tell your players, be ready, get ready. He was the ultimate ready guy.
They usually don't do those type of awards, buddy, till you're long gone, though. That's the problem.
Well, we don't have to wait. We can Gator Bake and put it on right now.
Well, that's true. That's true. I was thinking you were talking to somebody within the organization.
The university can do what it wants to. I got a person who's interested, very connected, who may want to do this on our own, and we'll do that. Just like we have the Scott Bradley Trophy down here at the Ocala Quarterback Club. There's probably going to be one named for you one of these days. What should it be for? Shane Matthews, Mississippi.
Yeah.
High school player of the year. Shane, let me tell you something. Just so you know, there is a group of people that deserve to have a special place. I call them non-statute guys, and you're one of those people who need a special. Maybe I just go out there and paint the wall or something. But you and Chris Leak and guys like that, go back and quarterbacks that made it what it is. Without you, we wouldn't be here right now. So we talk about guys like you, Chris Leak, Trash, even John Reeves, and maybe Rex. I don't know. But the guys who were really great players that deserve to be commemorated over, maybe not the statue, but just below.
All right, buddy. We'll have a good show tonight. We'll talk to you next week. Enjoy the Masters. Should be fun. Should be a good weekend.
Negotiate that hamburger at Spurs Grill for us. Well, so we have to pay for it.
I'll do it. No doubt about it. That's the great Buddy Martin. You can check his show out every Monday through Friday on Facebook Live around 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to take our first time out of the program. When we come back, we're going to talk a little Gator recruiting with our man, Jason Higdon from Florida First and 10. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Harder Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Le Macarons, Sushi Hana, Bass Pro Shopping coming June of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We'll see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go back to the Titan MRI hotline, and we're joined by Jason Higdon of firstand10florida.com, talking a little Gator recruiting. Good morning, Jason. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, Shane. Thanks for having me, as always.
Yes, absolutely. We've got a lot of stuff going on now that spring practice is over. First, before we get into recruiting, I know you got a lot of contacts, connections within the program. Just an overall view of what the coaches felt going out of spring football.
Well, I think they felt really good, actually. You know, the big talk, obviously, is the quarterback position, as you know, with Emory and Anthony. And, there's a big debate going on. Is it going to be Emory starting? Is it going to be Anthony starting? I think that it's not a question of if, but, rather when Anthony takes over for Emory. I just think that Richardson, with his size and his skill set and everything he brings to the table, there's things that he can do that Emory can't do. However, I've talked to a lot of people that feel really good about the job that Emory will do. Now, if you're a fan, which obviously everybody listening to the show is, it's going to look a lot different than it did last year. But I think Emory can do a good enough job, but it's hard for me to believe he'll be able to hold off Anthony Richardson by, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to see a totally different offense, as we all know. I think we're going to see a lot of quarterback power, a lot of plays, break down in the backfield, guys running around, using their athletic ability to make plays. Nothing like what we saw under Kyle Trask. All right, so from a standpoint of recruiting, I think kids are going to be able to start coming on campus for visits. Give us an update on what's going on.
Yeah, it looks like right now everything is kind of going according to plan. It looks like June 4th will be the first official visit weekend where the NCAA is going to open things up. Dan and those guys are going to go. They're jumping right in with both feet, man. That's going to be their big weekend. Right now, there's roughly 18 guys scheduled to take an official visit June 4th weekend. So some of the guys, Campbell down at IMG, the linebacker, Eni White, Walter Nolan, Chris McClellan out from Oklahoma, Jamari Lyons, Kristen Miller. Those are all D tackles. Azariah Thomas, fine DB. You got Jacoby Matthews from Louisiana, Jarrell Stinson, guy committed to Auburn. A big one is Tyler Booker, running back Terrence Gibbs, Amarian Hampton out of North Carolina. And then, a spot they're doing incredibly well at right now is that wide receiver with guys like Jaden Gibson, Gentry Williams, and Evan Stewart. Those guys are all scheduled to come. And the key thing about that is the quarterback who's already committed out in Texas, Nick Evers, is going to be there as well. And Nick is really the bell cow of this class. And for a long time, Florida has desperately been looking for a quarterback to jump in early and be that guy that kind of takes the bull by the horns. And Nick behind the scenes is doing a phenomenal job recruiting some of these guys. So I'm going to be interested to see the dynamics and how they kind of play out that weekend when he's there in person with a lot of those guys. So, they've got about 32 official visits scheduled right now. Most people only know about 24 or 25 of them. They got a couple surprise guys coming June 4th that we're keeping under the radar, but they've got, a big weekend June 11th with Katron Allen, Addison Nichols out of GAC here in Norcross, tight end Oscar Delp, and, Shamar James, who's going to do a virtual visit with the Gators tonight. They had a big virtual visit last night from Plano, Texas, John Paul High School, a guy named Terrence Brooks, who's a cornerback that most people don't know about. So they got a lot of things going on behind the scenes right now that most people aren't aware of.
How big was the hire that Dan just brought Corey Bell back? What's his role going to be with recruiting?
I think it's fantastic. And a lot of people keep saying to me that I keep hearing things like, wow, Jason, the staff's really recruiting at a much higher pace now than they were last year. And they're really not. They're really recruiting the same. They don't really change. But, with the addition of Corey Bell back there with John Herron and Ratliff and Skolasky and Lee and those guys, Corey brings just a whole nother, possibility of recruits. Guys like Omar Graham and Marvin Jones Jr., the DN out of American Heritage, Devin Moore, obviously they're recruiting hard, Earl Little, Singletary, Kelly committed to FSU, Dante Anderson, Daniel Lyons, all these guys in South Florida, American Heritage, Shanahan down there in Miami. These are guys that are right in Corey Bell's wheelhouse. So I think he's a fantastic upgrade from where they were. And, the addition of him being back there, it's really just opening up a lot of doors that weren't open to Florida previously. So I think there's a lot of good things going on right now, even though it's, early in the cycle, obviously just being, the first week in April. So I'm excited to see what Corey can do. I know he really wanted to get back to Gainesville, and he is, and he's working like he wants to be there, which is a good sign.
Jason, we got a text on the Titan Mart text line from John. He wants to know, how do you feel about Gentry Williams and Jaleel Skinner?
I feel really good about Gentry Williams. Gentry Williams is a kid out in Oklahoma that they've been recruiting really hard. He's had, I believe, 2 virtual visits already, and he's really good friends with Nick also. So he's from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Booker T. I know that, Garrett McGee has some connections out there also in that high school. So I feel really good about Gentry. He's that slot guy. Now, both his parents went to Oklahoma, so everybody just kind of wants to assume, and probably rightfully so, that he ends up at Oklahoma. But the interesting thing about him is he wants the ball in his hands. He's a true slot guy. He's that guy that you're looking for to play the slot, but everyone else is recruiting him to play the defensive side of the ball. So Florida's the only school recruiting him to play wide receiver, and he's already built up a pretty strong bond with Nick. And again, those guys are going to be coming together June 4th for that official visit weekend. And Chris McClellan, the D tackle, he's also out in Oklahoma. So, and Evan Stewart's in Texas. So even though you look at these guys individually and say 2 guys from Oklahoma, a guy from Texas, what are our chances? Not very good. However, QB's committed. He's from Texas. They got a bond. They're all coming together. They play together on the 7-on-7 team out there. So I think there's a lot of strong things going on with some of those guys. So again, hopefully it all comes together that June 4th weekend, and I'm sure it will.
We're speaking with Jason Higdon from firstand10florida.com. You use the promo code 2for2 right now. You get 2 months for just $2. Jason, so we've had spring ball very early. Tell everybody the reason why you think Dan Mullen had spring so early, and what's kind of the schedule for these players leading up to the fall?
Well, I think honestly, with COVID going on and the NCAA always, getting in there and changing the schedules and stuff, I think they were afraid that they weren't going to be able to continue spring. So they had it earlier, much earlier than they've ever had it before, which means obviously, the players are going to have a much longer break than they've ever had before. The same deal with the coaches, although it gives the coaches more time to kind of, hone in on recruiting here. But, right now, for the next 2 weeks, the players are going to be meeting with the individual position coaches. They'll have exit meetings. If everything's fine with the position coach, then they're good to go. If not, there might be some instances where they have to meet with the coordinators, either the DC or the OC. And then, if that doesn't go good, then, it might get to Dan. Obviously, Dan sits in on all of those as well. So then we have finals weeks. The players will have 2 weeks off. And then after that, summer workout school, May 11th, and Savage get back involved, and then they're right back grinding.
When you so right now, how many scholarships available, if you know the answer to this, does Florida have?
Well, if they wanted to grab 2 portal guys right now, they have room for 2 portal guys or 2 transfer guys or whatever you want to call it, even after the addition of the 2 defensive linemen. So they have 2 spots. It looked like maybe an inside linebacker. They could use one. They could possibly use one on a wide receiver, but I think they feel pretty good about what's going on with Frazier's and Henderson and Trent and some of those young wide receivers. So I think they feel pretty good about where they are with those guys, in addition to where they are with recruiting. And obviously recruiting is the lifeline of, any college coach in any program. They prefer to go that route if, given the chance. But if the opportunity presents itself and a guy, that they think can come in and make an impact, presents itself, then, they might take a swing. But they have 2 spots technically for 2 more transfer guys.
So when you look at the transfer portal, I mean, it's crazy. We know how crazy it's been, but it's really crazy in college basketball. How many kids would you say, because I've always said it'd be interesting for somebody to do a piece on, in the last couple of years, how many college football players have entered the transfer portal and still are sitting in that transfer portal? Would you say there's a bunch?
I would think there is a bunch. And, it's a dirty business. And I think kids need to be very careful. And the problem is that everybody, not just, in football, but in life, people think the grass is always greener on the other side. I see it every day with some things going on here with travel baseball, and it's just not the case. So I think kids need to be very, very leery and careful before they put their name in the transfer portal. However, it is a catch-22 because, you're not allowed to speak to coaches at other programs, when you're on a roster at a team. So there's always this uncertainty of kind of what's really going on until your name goes into the portal. So, and I'll tell you right now, don't be surprised at all if you see a couple more names coming out of these exit meetings over the next 2 weeks from Florida, that all of a sudden their name pops up and they're in the portal. So, I definitely think that, that's a possibility that's going to happen. So we just kind of got to see how things unfold.
Yeah, I've said since the transfer portal started, Jason, and I may be crazy, but I think it's good for both the coaches and for the players, because a player, if he doesn't think he's getting a fair shot, he can go somewhere else. But to me, it's a way a college coach can, in a nice way, cut a player. Basically, as you said in the exit meetings, hey, we got so-and-so, you're sitting at 3rd on the depth chart. We got this kid coming in that plays your position. Not sure you might get the playing time you're looking for. We'll help you any way we can if you go into the transfer portal. Am I wrong about that?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, nobody wants to see these kids fail. Certainly not the coaches that have put a tremendous amount of time and energy and effort and money in recruiting these guys. So everybody wants these guys to succeed, and they would prefer they succeed at their program. However, if it doesn't, and, a guy comes in the 22 class that's already passed up guys in the 21 class, well, you know what? That's probably a pretty tell sign that you need to move on. And they always say in recruiting, you don't need to worry about the guy ahead of you. You need to worry about the guy behind you. So if you're already losing reps to the guy behind you, that's a pretty good indicator that, your time probably is done.
Okay, we got a bunch of texts and Facebook Lives here about DeJuan Black. What's the status of him right now?
Well, right now, and I say this with caution because this is kind of like the boy that cried wolf. We've heard this several times over the last 2 years, that he's good to go, everything's okay, and he'll be on campus, he'll be enrolled, he'll be taking classes. And while I do believe this is the closest that they've ever been to actually having this confirmed, and he is going to be good to go, I, as a Florida fan, am going to take the approach of, I'll believe it when I see it. No knock against Black at all. It has nothing to do with him. It's just the situation that's unfolded the last several times. So I'll believe it when I see it. Now, they feel good. He feels good. He's on track. It should happen. But again, we've heard this several times over the last couple of years, to see some hiccup at the last minute and it not happen. So he's on track, but I'm not just going to, write it in pen just yet.
We got a text on the Titan our text line for you, Jason, from Thomas. Thomas wants to know, what was the word on the 2 freshman quarterbacks in spring, in Del Rio and Kitna?
Well, just like any freshmen going into their first spring, I think those guys were a little bit overwhelmed. But, surprisingly, I thought Kitna would be the guy that walks in that I would hear kind of more rave reviews about when just being compared to Carlos. However, I've actually spoken to a lot of defensive players, and they really like the way Carlos carries himself, and they really like the way he throws the ball. So I think that just speaks volume for the kind of player that he is and the job that not only Mullen, but of course, Brian Johnson did in recruiting him. So I think they've got really two good-looking young quarterbacks right there. So, we'll see how those guys pan out. But Nick Evers, to me, is the guy. And like I mentioned earlier, you don't need to worry about the guy ahead of you. You got to worry about the guy behind you. And Evers is about 6'2", 190 pounds right now, maybe 6'3". And he reminds me the way he throws the ball, a little bit of Rex Grossman. He's got this really compact, quick delivery. It's a one-piece motion. It gets rid of the ball very quickly. The first time I watched his film, I thought, oh, my gosh, this kid's going to be dynamite. So he's the guy that I think could really make a lot of noise when he gets to Gainesville.
I got a question for you. I could be wrong. Corey Bell is not who. Didn't we hire someone just specifically to work the portal?
Yeah, they did. I don't believe that's Corey, though. Corey's going to focus a lot of using his South Florida contacts, guys down in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, stuff like that. But I do believe they have a guy that specifically he works the portal all day long, and that's his entire job. I can't remember what his name is, but yes, they've got a position that just focuses on the portal every day, all day long.
Yeah. So have you heard anything that they're going to start having official visits? I think you said in June sometime. Are they going to be allowed to have their camps, their Friday night lights, those type of things this year?
I have not heard anything about that. I hate to assume when we're talking about the NCAA, but for the life of me, I can't imagine that they're going to open things up for official visits in June and not be allowed to have camps later that month. So, I haven't got the official word on that, but I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful that happens, and certainly that Friday Night Lights camp at the end of July has been a big deal and a big recruiting tool for Florida over the years. For whoever the head coach is. So hopefully things will open back up and we'll get back to doing camps and stuff.
So Jason, if they pass this name, image, and likeness where kids can get money and what have you, I mean, recruiting's already crazy. Don't you think it's going to be out of hand when that happens?
Yeah, I really, Shane, I think it's the worst thing possible that they can do because, all of a sudden you would think common sense would tell you that, if I'm a big time recruit from the state of Florida, that my name, likeness, and image is going to carry more weight in the state of Florida because that's where I'm from. So, however, I think what it's going to come down to is, schools with the most money, or all of a sudden, let's just say hypothetically, they say, hey, listen, you come sign with us. You do a podcast once a month. And, we have car dealerships that want to sponsor your podcast and pay you $100,000 for doing one podcast, once a month. I mean, I think it's a nightmare, and there's no going back if they open this door. So I hope that this doesn't work out. And I still think it's going to be regulated at a much higher level than what people think. And I think right now it's kind of a sexy recruiting tool to, kind of keep kids to stay in state because that's where you would think you would make the most money off your name and image and stuff. But I just think it's bad. It's a bad overall look. And I'm not sure how they would actually be able to regulate it so that it's, a fair type deal. I mean, what are you going to have? You're going to have a kid running around, a college kid, a freshman that's, he got paid $100,000 and, some other kids there, but he got $5,000. I mean, how's that even going to work?
Yeah, I think it's going to divide the locker room as well. I mean,
it'd be horrible.
Yeah, I mean, think about one wide receiver getting paid $50,000, the other one who's out playing him only getting $10,000. I just think it's going to be a total nightmare. I do think the kids need to get paid something, and I don't know if it's. My whole point is if the quarterback's making $100,000. Everybody should get a piece of that, whether you're a walk-on or what, because I just think it's going to be bad for the entire football team. So, Jason, let everybody know right now you have a special going on there at First and 10 Florida, how they can get involved.
Yeah, just go to firstand10florida.com, enter the promo code 2 for 2. It's not going to last much longer, but it's 2 months for $2 of inside access. I'm there all day, and this site is not like any other site that anybody's been a part of. So I work for every single member full time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on my site. They have access to me. They have my cell number. They have my email. They can get in touch with me anytime they want. We've got some of the biggest insiders regarding Florida recruiting and Florida football anywhere on the internet. So we welcome everybody and all Florida fans that want to pull up a chair and talk recruiting and talk Gator athletics.
Good stuff, my man. Appreciate you taking the time to join us from up there in Atlanta. Be safe, and we'll talk to you soon, Jason.
Thank you, sir.
That's Jason Higdon from firstand10florida.com. Join us talking a little Gator recruiting. We're going to take our final time out of today's program. When we come back, we'll wrap up this Tuesday edition.
Hey Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. Hot Up with Matthews in the morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Route Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios at Center State Bank. We put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida and understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. Center State Bank, member FDIC. We want to thank Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show for joining us, and also Jason Higdon from firstand10florida.com. Don't forget, he's got a tremendous special going on right now. Use promo code 2 for 2 right now. Get 2 months for just $2. It's the premier Florida Gators recruiting news source. Tomorrow's program, you're going to want to tune in. We'll have JC. We'll do our Masters picks, but we're going to have Grant Holloway, the all-world track star, joining us here on the program. Make sure you follow and like us on Facebook and YouTube. You can listen to us on 30 digital platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many others as well. Again, congratulations to the Baylor Bears on just a dominating performance last night. Scott Drew gets his first national championship after 18 years of taking over the program. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe out there, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.